Hello everyone. As we completed our first three sections of the first chapter, let's move to the fourth section, that is while loop. Okay. So we are starting while loop today. This is very important loop in Python because we can customize our logic in this loop. Okay. We can use for loop also, but it is kind of a little automatic. So before doing that, let's focus on while loop and check and understand how we can apply different logics in this. Okay, so it is very important. If you can build any logic in while loop, for loop is very easy. It is automatic again. So there are only two types of loops in Python. First is while loop, second is for loop. We are only focusing on while loop today. Okay, so let's start. What are loops? So loops are kind of a small bunch of code that we can execute again and again. For example, if I'm doing some task and I want to do it again, so I'm going to use while loop. We can customize it or change it a little bit depending upon every iteration. Iteration is just one loop is executing once. It is called an iteration. Let's do a question. So, for example, if I want to print a string, let's suppose India. Okay, I want to print India, but how many times? 5 times, for example. So we can use print statement again and again, but we are not going to do that. Okay, we can use print statement 5 times and print India very easy, simple. So we are going to use while loop for this. How can we do that? We are going to use this statement. While is a keyword in Python. Just give a colon. It is same as the syntax of if statement. Okay, we just write if and give a condition. While loop is the same. You just write while and give a condition here. Okay, you can write in brackets also, but I'm not using that. This works with indentation. We already know what is indentation. It is just representation that this print statement is a part of while loop. Okay, so now what we can do, we can give a condition here. If this condition gets true, the code inside the while loop will execute. Okay, but the condition is it will execute until this condition becomes false. So let me create a condition here. So I'm using a variable called I, and I'm giving this less than equals to 5. Okay, that's it. Let's initialize this I variable. I is a variable with a value of 1. Okay, so I is 1. 1 is less than 5. Condition true. This statement becomes true because internally value of I is 1. Okay, so if this is true, it will go inside, the interpreter will go inside and execute this code. This will print India, correct? Once this print India, it will rotate and go to the condition again. Unlike in if statement, when you use if statement, if the condition is true, it will execute the code inside it, but for once. But in while loop, it will execute the code and go back to checking the condition. If this is again true, it will go inside and run this again. So it will continue to do so because if you are a machine, you are giving an instruction to a machine, and to start something, you also have to give the machine that when to stop, because machines don't use their own brain. Okay, so here what we going to do, we are going to use increment operator. So there is no increment in Python. We are going to use compound operators. Okay, so why we are doing that? Because when the loop rotates, the value of I is still 1, and because if it is still 1, it will not going to stop the loop. Okay, so we are going to use a compound operator, that is plus equals to 1. We already know what are compound operators from our previous session, that I is 1. When you write plus equals to 1, it will increment the value of I and assign it again into I. Okay, so this statement will change the value of I to 1 to 2. Okay, so this will rotate and come back here. Okay, now value of I is 2. 2 is less than equals to 5. Correct, it is true. This will return true, and because this is true, it will execute the code again. So this way, this statement will be executed and print India again. It will come to the next line and change the value of I to 3, because previously it was 2. It will rotate, 3 is less than 5, condition true. It will going to print India again. Okay, it will go to the next line and it will be incremented by 1. The value of I will be 4. It will rotate, come here, 4 is less than equals to 5, condition true. It will print India again. Okay, it will do this continuously, rotating it loop around this particular statement until the value of this statement becomes false. So once it will executed 5 times, the value of I will become 6. This will rotate, 6 is less than 5, condition false. This will stop the loop and the output will be, let me execute the whole code. It will print India 5 times. Correct. So this is how a while loop executes. Okay, so let's move forward and do a simple question here. What I want to print the print a series called 1, then 2, 3, 4 and 5. I want to print this. Okay, to print this particular series, what we have to do, we have to use while loop again. So also we need a variable here, so I'm using I again. If I write while, let me give a condition. If it is less than equals to 5, the while loop will execute 5 times. Okay, if this execute 5 times, we have to print 1 for the first time. Okay, so 1 will be printed. For the next time, we have to print 2. Now, because if we are writing 1 here, it will print 1 5 times, 1 1 1 1 1 like this. So can we do something to change it dynamically? Let's use I here. If I use I here, what will happen? The value of I is 1. Okay, initially. Now I'm changing it here. It will become 2. It will rotate. 2 is less than 5, condition true. It will execute the whole code again. This time it will print 2. In the next statement, I becomes 3. It will rotate. 3 is less than 5, condition true, and so on. Okay, so this will execute 5 times, and every time the value of I is different. So if we run this, it will print the same statement what we wanted. Okay, so let's do it one more time for 10 values. Okay, so if I write like this, so I want to print 10 values in vertical order. So how can we do this? So let me use I again. I should be start with 1. Let me use while I is less than equals to 10. Okay, so this time the loop should execute till 10. So if I write and print I, in the next statement we have to increment it by 1. Okay, so let me execute this. It will print like this. Okay, so this is how a while loop executes. So we have to keep 2 things in mind. First is giving the condition, and the second thing is to tell the loop when to stop. Okay, so these are 2 important things we have to consider here. Let's move forward and do some questions in the next session. Okay.